I think that. I think on Saturday against Lincoln, we show him our support. This is what fans do. We are the 12th man, and yeah, we have got injuries at the moment, and we might have a few key players that are out of our team. But what we can do as fans is actually encourage our players rather than destroy them.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Tuesday evening, Birmingham City lost 3-1 away at Bolton in what proved to be a very difficult and tricky game. And sadly, that brings an end to the 18-game unbeaten run in the league. And me and Dad, we don't make excuses on this podcast. When we lost at Charlton, when we lost at Shrewsbury, we admitted that those teams deserved to win that game. And I will admit that Bolton deserved to win that game on Tuesday evening. But we're going to get into the fine details of the game, talk about our positives, our negatives, and where we go from here. So, Dad, Bolton Wanderers 3, Birmingham City 1. Not a scoreline we're used to saying this season. What were your thoughts on the game?
I think you're right, Matt, and I think we have to say right at the very beginning, all credit to Bolton. I think for the first 30 minutes, just after we scored our goal, we were excellent. I thought we were very, very good. But Bolton, they were always a good side anyway, but now they've got, Schumacher as their manager. He's obviously organised them and give them a bit of grit about them, and that is what really stood out to me, is that they wanted it more than us after the first half hour. They just wanted it more than us. We could use not the excuse. We could use the fact that we have got a lot of key players injured, and that is true. But I don't want to take anything away from Bolton. I think they deserve the victory. They deserve the 3 points. It's a feeling we're not used to losing this season, isn't it?
I know. Oh, it's rubbish, isn't it, Dad? I hate losing football games, but there's something about this season which, for some reason, it stings even more, because we're the favourites in most games, aren't we?
Yeah.
But, I think you're right, Dad. Bolton deserved the credits here. I think what I noticed early was challenges, tempo. I agree with you, Dad, by the way. I think that we took control for the first sort of 30, 35, maybe upwards of 40 minutes until they scored.
Yeah.
But what I did notice early was big challenges. Schumacher had them fired up in the dressing room, and you could tell they had that bit between their teeth, didn't they?
Yeah.
As you say, they wanted it. But I just want to say that before we get into the real bolts of the game, the nuts and crannies, I just want to say that, I'm really proud of the team this season. The fact that we're sitting here a little bit disappointed after an 18-game unbeaten span in the league is absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? I think we've gone above and beyond everyone's expectations. It's football. Me and you have said, Dad, we don't mind losing if the team outplays us on the day, and that's absolutely fine. This will happen during a football season.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're in the final third of the season and we're still just a little bit disappointed that we lost, it just shows how much of a phenomenal season we're having.
It is, and a bit of perspective, the wheels haven't fallen off. It's not a disaster. It's a football match that we've lost, and as we've said, we've deserved to lose. Disappointing. We don't want to lose any game, and we can look at some frustrations that we might have seen during the game, but ultimately, where we are in the season at the moment is still in a really, really good place.
Yeah.
On the starting lineup, I was a little bit surprised with one thing. I'll tell you in a minute. Obviously, it was good to see Stansfield back on the bench. That was good news. Bailey Peacock-Farrell came back in goal for Alsop, who was injured. Mm-hmm. But the surprise for me, I was almost expecting 100% that Bielek would take the right back spot. That really surprised me. So what Chris Davies did, he put Taylor Gardner-Hickman in the right back spot, and he started Hansen on the left, because Hansen's come off the bench the last couple of games in that position. Yeah. But Bielek was on the bench again. So what's your thoughts on that?
Agreed. Really interesting, Dad, because don't get me wrong, Taylor Gardner-Hickman is a very, very good right back. But I think when he made that change at Exeter early on in the season, I think Bielek showed more than what he's capable of at the right back position. But I think Bielek sees himself as in a central player, doesn't he? He's a centre half or a centre mid. He's kind of the spine of the team, not really outright. So maybe, I don't know, there must be something behind the scenes that he felt more comfortable to play Taylor Gardner-Hickman, but yeah, big surprise for me as well on that with Bielek.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure that spells the end of Bielek, if I'm honest, in the club, because he's not going to sit on the bench in League One or in the Championship. He's better than a bench player. I know he's got his critics out there. I get that. I know, but I'm a fan of Bielek. I think he's been solid enough. Yeah, he does lack a bit of pace, but every time he comes in, he always does a good, solid job. But he ain't going to want to be a bench player for any team, particularly at this stage of his career.
And if I'm honest, Dad, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, he came back from injury recently, and he's played a decent amount of games. He had a tough night against Bolton. It would have made sense to play Bielek.
He was running around like a bull in a china shop. I mean, he had to get substituted because he would have been sent off.
In fact, it was touch and go with that last challenge, wasn't it, that he did?
I mean, it was good management in the end by Chris Davies. He had to come off because he would have been sent off. But again, and it shows you
Frustration, wasn't it?
he was, but his energy as well.
Yeah.
It shows you how committed he is to the team.
But Dave, when we look at the Wickham game and we looked at the other game where the player got sent off, my mind eluded me to that second red that we saw at St Andrews. Orient, that was it.
Yeah.
We look at that, don't we, and say that was born out of frustration from the players. I felt like for one of the first times this season, our players were getting a little bit frustrated because it wasn't going our way, and that's a good thing in a way because you're used to winning, you have that momentum.
Yeah.
It was quite nice to see the players frustrated at losing because. It shows a bit of character, doesn't it? It shows what you're made of. You show steel in these moments. But I thought Taylor Gardner-Hickman did have a tricky night. They did have quite a bit of success coming down the flanks, didn't they? And he definitely was on the trajectory to get a red card, weren't he, at that one point in that game?
I think it also shows us how important, as well, the likes of Ethan Laird is to the team. And not that Taylor Gardner did anything fundamentally wrong,
No,
Laird gives us that pace going forward. Keshi Anderson, that we did see him a little bit not disjointed, but we weren't as effective on that right hand side because he played Dowell, didn't he, on the right wing with Williamson in number 10, and obviously Taylor Gardner-Hickman behind him.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with those players, but they're not as effective as a Keshi Anderson forward with Ethan Laird behind him.
Mm-hmm.
That is, to me, the first choice. Right,
it's pure
line.
pace, isn't it?
Yeah, and we lacked that, didn't we? And I think that's where we struggled. Although that's where the goal came from. It came from the right hand side. So in a way, it was it sort of did work for the goal. I thought we were excellent up to the goal, I think we. Created some really good football. It literally did look like we were a league above them in the first 35 minutes because we were just passing the ball around, pinging it around, and to a lot of extent they actually were watching us.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously they started to impose themselves more on the game, started to stop us. And then they became much more aggressive in their play as well. I think that's where the game changed, wasn't it?
It did.
As you know, we took the lead, didn't we? They did have a chance before that where, which I thought was a really good player for them, Jordi Osei-Tutu. He was their left winger.
Yeah.
He was a tricky little player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Very good player.
In fact, Dad, I felt like for the first 10 minutes, we completely smothered them. We didn't let them. And I was saying to myself, we need a chance here. And actually, it fell to Bolton, and he came down their left-hand side. He took it past Gardner-Hickman. He put it across. It was a good save from Bailey Peacock-Farrell, actually.
Yeah, saved with his legs, didn't he?
But apart from that chance, we went back on the front foot again. But I did think to myself, we need a chance here, or we need to capitalise on this possession. It was actually Bolton that went down and got a chance.
I know, but that shows what can happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. When you're a team that presses forward, you're always vulnerable to leave yourself exposed at the back, which is exactly what happened, particularly when the opposition have got pacey players.
Yeah.
That was their chance, and it was he saved with the feet of Bailey Peacock-Farrell, so that was a good save. And then we scored our goal, and it was I think it was a fantastic goal. It was a real proper team goal coming down the right hand side, wasn't it? It's Kieran Dowell to Williamson, and Williamson slotted in Taylor, and the pass from Williamson was fantastic, wasn't it?
That's the Williamson we're used to seeing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a good pass. It was a well weighted pass. I thought it was a little bit short, but actually it got to Taylor Gardner-Hickman. He slotted it across, and then Emil Hansen hit it. I think he hit it with his right foot, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Into the goal, and it was a really, really good team goal. And at that point, when we scored the goal, because of the way we were playing before that, you think, well, that's going to be tough for them. Mm-hmm. But then we let them back into the game. Now, this is where I didn't say the wheels fell off here. I just felt that we just sort of we took our foot off the gas.
But the game completely turned on its head.
Yeah.
So when they scored their goal, Dad, and especially after the half-time break, they came out like a different team. And it was from my point of view, there was two things for their first goal. It was disappointing to get caught out so easy with two passes down their right, our left. And if I'm honest, at the near post, Bailey Peacock-Farrell should be saving that.
Yeah, I agree. So and they're the two things I've picked out as well. A lot of people have focused on Bailey Peacock-Farrell here and saying he should have saved. And he should have saved that. That should, regardless of any goalkeeper, they should not let a ball at that distance go into their near post. But the argument would be in the first place, well, why has he got so much space to be able to run through? Because if we're defending as a unit and as a team, he should never have been. He weren't even challenged. I mean, he got through, and obviously I think Cochrane was out of position because we were.
He was high, weren't he? Cochrane was,
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the Blues game.
Yeah.
I think you said it a minute ago, Dad. When you press high, you do leave a few gaps at the back, don't you?
And that John McAtee is a good player. I mean, I remember when we played them at St.Andrews earlier in the season. He came on as a substitute, and I said to you after the game, "Why is he a substitute? He caused us all sorts of problems when he came on."
Yeah.
He was a good finish, but he just leathered it just inside the post. Yeah, the goalkeeper could have saved it, and he could have done better. But then I think the whole defence need to look at that, not just the goalkeeper. I think it's the whole defence need to look. Why was he given all that amount of space?
Because what happened was Cochrane was further forward, so then Ben Davies kind of slotted into the left back, and then Clara came to cover the left side centre back, and it left a massive hole down the during the middle of the defence, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hence why he had so much time and space. I mean, that was, if you actually watch that back and count the seconds and the space he has on the ball, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And as you say, Dad, so one, the defence should be doing slightly better. The positioning wasn't great, but two, Bailey Peacock-Farrell should be saving it. Because that's the point of a goalkeeper. When your defence does call themselves out of position, you rely on your keeper to get you out of a tough spot sometimes, don't you?
Yeah,
but
that's why the keeper's there. But let's have this conversation, because there's been a lot of reaction to Bailey Peacock-Farrell on social media, which a lot of it is completely over the top and unwarranted and really insulting and aggressive, and that's the type of stuff we don't like. I mean, that type of thing, okay, it's okay Blues fans having opinions like we do. We try and be respectful in our opinions.
Constructive criticism.
But we're honest about what we see, and if we see a mistake, we will say we think that's a mistake. He could have done better. But there's no point in destroying players. These players. I mean, Bailey Peacock-Farrell is going to be in goal for the next few games, from what we hear from Chris Davis. That Allsop is going to be out for a few games, and yes, he has made mistakes, and like every other player on the pitch. But it seems to be more elevated when it's a goalkeeper. Now,
I think it's because it looks so much more significant, isn't it? But we don't pile on Stansfield when he misses a chance, or we don't pile on some of the attacking players when they miss a chance. So,
but the honest truth is, and and this is me being perfectly honest. I do feel a little bit tense when we have when the other team are attacking when Bailey Peacock-Farrell's in goal, but I just think that the criticism that he's getting is no good to him. It's no good to his teammates, because they're all a unit and they all fight for each other, and it's no good to the team either.
There's a difference here, Dad. I think constructive criticism is fair. Me and you can say to each other now on this podcast that we think that we get a little bit nervous when Bailey Peacock-Farrell's in goal, or we could maybe say he should have been done a little bit better for that goal. That's fine. Every Blues fan is perfectly entitled to those sorts of opinions. What I don't like is the nastiness and the personal attacks. It's completely unfair. He's a footballer. He's a Blues player. He's in goal. He's going to be in goal now for the next couple of games, like you said, Dad. If anything, we should get behind him more than ever.
I think that. I think on Saturday against Lincoln, we show him our support. This is what fans do. We are the 12th man, and we have got injuries at the moment, and we might have a few key players that are out of our team. But what we can do as fans is actually encourage our players rather than destroy them, because he's going to come out on the pitch now on Saturday to warm up. I suggest that, as Blues fans, we just give him a warm welcome and we just encourage him, because he's going to be our goalkeeper for the next few games, and he's a Blues player. He's part of the team, and we need to do our bit as well.
This is worth noting, Dad, that 99% of Blues fans are great, and we'll get behind him and we'll clap in and love our players and love our club. It's the 1% of any fan base, isn't it, that go over the top and kind of make it a bit
I think as well, obviously technology and social media has given people the opinion to, the platform to express opinions, and that's what it should be there for. But it's the harshness that I don't like, the nastiness, the aggressive ones, the swearing and and just destroying people. I really, really do not like that at all, and there's no place for it in my opinion. No. That's not distracting from the fact that everybody's entitled to their opinion. There's a couple of social media groups that I was looking where they closed the comments, which I didn't agree with. Not that that they shouldn't stop people giving nasty comments, because they can delete those, but you shouldn't stop Blues fans giving comments just because they don't agree with some of the things that are happening, So I think there's this balance between giving a fair and open forum for fans to give views and not actually regimenting it and controlling it, so you stop people.
We get challenged in the comments a fair amount, and it's perfectly fine, isn't it? As long as it's respectful and it's a conversation, you can challenge us and we can challenge you. That's the beauty of football. Everyone sees stuff slightly differently, Dad. Me and you could think Bailey Peacock is the best keeper in the world. Someone might think he's the worst, and that goes for every position on the pitch.
I suppose the point I'm making is when you get social media groups that decide to control and restrict comments because they don't like them, that's not a fair and open forum for the fans. As you know, on this channel, we do not allow any aggressive, abusive, or foul language. So if you do put any comments in our comment section with any of that, we'll delete them, because we're a family podcast. And I agree with that. I agree that should be the case. But just because someone's got a different opinion to me, it does not give us the right in this channel or any other social media channel for us to delete those comments, and we don't.
No.
We don't. We will have to accept that people have different opinions. Anyway, enough on that. But I just think that we do see that I think yes, Bailey Peacock-Farrell could have done better on that goal. but we need to support him.
Yeah, exactly, Dad. And just coming back to Bailey Peacock-Farrell, because we'll get through the goals and I'm wary of time, we're kind of running out a little bit. What I think with Bailey Peacock-Farrell, when he's on the ball, if we just use Allsop as a comparison, because it's a natural comparison, there are two keepers, you feel like Allsop knows what he wants to do. He wants to fire it to the right to Laird, or he wants to do a short pass. I feel like with Bailey Peacock-Farrell, he almost gets caught in two minds sometimes. And he doesn't know whether he's going to go for the short pass to the left or a hoof, and he kind of gets caught out a few times, doesn't he, by his indecisiveness a little bit. But overall, Dad, as you said, could have done better for some of these goals. We move on, give him a big reception for
just very briefly on that, man. It is briefly. We need to not make the mistake of expecting Bailey Peacock-Farrell to be Ryan Allsop. They're different players. It's like actually expecting Alfie May to be Jay Stansfield.
It's just a confidence thing, isn't it?
They're just different. So they're different type and style of players, and they're going to have different levels of being good at different things. So they're just different players, aren't they? But Bolton had one chance as well, which was straight after they scored, which was actually offside, where they scored again, but it was actually given offside. He was offside again. John McAtee again. Again they was in that position. So they were really in the ascendancy, wasn't they?
They were.
And they came out really strong in the second half, Bolton, didn't they? And I was like, that disappointed me a little bit, because I wanted us to be the aggressive team in the second half, but we didn't. We were very passive in the first 15-20 minutes and just allowed them to come on to us.
Yeah.
That gave them confidence. He got their crowd up, and a good crowd as well. And the Bolton fans are, they're very similar to the Blues fan base, aren't they? Very passionate about their club, and they got right behind their team. And they had a chance straight away after the restart when Ben Davies was, for Ben Davies's. He's the one that actually stopped the goal going on. But it was a goal on clearance from Aaron Morley's shot. Mm-hmm. So they. And that had beaten Bailey Peacock-Farrell. So it was actually a goal line clearance from Ben Davies. Then they got their second goal. This is what really killed us, I think, the second goal.
Yeah, agreed.
Because once they went into the lead, clearly at home, that's always going to be a difficult way to come back.
What disappoints me, Dad, as well, a little bit is, we've mentioned about our phenomenal clean sheet record and the amount of goals we haven't conceded since the Shrewsbury game. It's been absolutely. It was four goals up until the Bolton game.
4 goals in 18 games.
You think about it logically, 4 goals in 18 games. We did 3 against Bolton. It's
I know.
It doesn't add up. Does
this is why it's the whole defence that needs to be looked at here, not just the goalkeeper.
Agreed. But what I will say, Dad, is when we do concede goal, it is from the more direct approach, isn't it? A lot of the goals we've conceded have been route one, kind of typical League One goals,
which was like their second goal.
Exactly.
It was a free kick.
That's exactly what I'm referencing, because it was just a long ball to the back post. The man beats Cochrane to the header, plays it back against goal, and then when Cochrane was on the floor, that same player, I forgot his name, the guy who scored, he then passed it in, and then straight easy tapping really, because Cochrane was on the floor. So I was hoping for an offside, but because Cochrane had fell over, it was never going to happen. So he was playing him on, but really ashamed to.
You would argue with that goal as well, Matt, is that there was 2 chances to clear the second ball. So we lost the first, we did the first header that came in, so it came in. Then when the ball was pinged up, we could have won that, and we didn't. It fell to their player, and he pinged it then to their player, who eventually knocked it in. So it was almost like a comedy of errors for it, and this is why it's the defence, and that made it 2-1, and. That was always an uphill battle, and I think from that point onwards, they pretty much controlled the game.
Yeah,
they pretty much controlled. Because if you think about the second half, I can't think of many chances at all that we created.
Exactly.
We just seemed to, and that's because they pressed us as well. And then they scored their third goal again. Joe Randall.
Again, route one, very direct.
Yeah, caught out Alex Cochrane.
It was almost like the goal we scored against Wickham, Dad. All up to Taylor Gardner-Hitman. It was goalkeeper to the winning header, and then they built up from there. And again, disappointed that it was just a couple of passes straight from the goalkeeper. I think we're better than that at the back.
It was good play from Collins, who scored the goal.
It was.
Because he actually turned Clara as well, didn't he? He turned him and then shot it in. But it disappointed. Again, we had opportunities to defend that as well, and that was 3-1. That was the game over then, wasn't it? We weren't coming. No. We weren't coming back from that because we didn't do anything in that second half really to really press them, and we just you sort of knew the game was up by that point.
When the second half started, Dad, and they came out, as you said, what did you term you use when they were in the ascendancy, and they came out in the second half and they were at us. I thought to myself, if we can get out of a point here, I'll be happy. And as it wasn't meant to be on the day. But we've mentioned a few things there, Dad. Tired legs. We've mentioned direct route one football. But as we said at the start, take nothing away from Bolton. They deserve that win. And from their perspective, some decent goals. When you turn Clara, you deserve the goal, don't you? Because Clara is an absolute mountain of a man. Doesn't get turned very often.
I think when Blues analyse this game, and they will, they'll be disappointed with all 3 goals. All 3 goals were were avoidable. First goal, Bailey Peacock foul, shouldn't let the ball go in on the inside post, but then the argument is, why was John McAtee given some space? The second goal, we had a number of opportunities to clear the second ball from the free kick. We didn't. On the third goal, Ben Davies lost the initial header, which is where the ball went over and behind him when Bolton got in. So all three of those goals were completely avoidable. And that's very unlike us, because defensively we've been absolutely brilliant, haven't we? So I think they'll be disappointed with the way we defended.
Agreed.
I mean, we defend as a team. I get that. It's not just the back four and the goalkeeper. It's everybody. But we definitely will look at that game and have a lot of lessons to learn from it, I think.
I think as well, Dad, like, not only did I notice that they had more energy and they were fighting more and wanted it more, I felt like after we had our sort of 30-minute, 40-minute spell, we were doing moments of sloppy passing, bad decision making. It just was an all-round bad day at the office, wasn't it? And it happens during football.
Yeah, which is uncharacteristic. He gave the ball away a few times in midfield as well. Again, it is not picking out and criticising individual players. It's just an observation that sometimes there's a little bit of tiredness there.
Out of character, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when players like that are doing sloppy passes, it just shows how tired this team are. And that's why I wanted to start the video there by saying how proud I am of them, because they do give the all in every game. You can clearly tell that they're shattered. You know, it's been a long season. We're talking 60 games this season when you think about all the cups that we're in and across everything that we're in. So it's a long season.
It is a long season. And yeah, so Bolton played well. One Bolton fan, because I always gauge the opinion of the Bolton fans, and they were ecstatic, the Bolton fans.
They were.
One Bolton fan said that's the best he's seen Bolton play in 2 years.
Yeah.
The best is, and even their manager says it's the best that they've played since he's been there as well. And again, it just demonstrates that that we have to be on our game, every minute against every team, because teams just up their games against us, and Bolton did.
And you can tell how much it means to teams, Dad, by how much they celebrate after the final whistle. And I know this winds fans up, and I don't mean to wind Bolton fans up here, but you know when Blues fans say we're everyone's cup final. Look at Charlton, look at Shrewsbury, look at Bolton after they beat us. It's like they just won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
You know, they're walking around the stadium, they're doing the whole big cheers and stuff like that, which is fine. You know, these teams have beat us fair and square. You celebrate exactly how you want. All I'm saying is, from a Blues perspective, it shows actually what it means to beat Birmingham City. It shows it's a real scalp to get this season.
It really is, and I hope this acts as I'm sure it will, as a motivation. Like, obviously, we got a reaction after Shrewsbury. We need a reaction now against Lincoln, because now we've had that defeat. We need to now turn things around. We start off a run now and hopefully go unbeaten for the rest of the season. Lincoln's a tough game. Again, another team that will come. They're in mid-table, but we've played them already twice. Once in the league and once in the FA Cup. And they've got good players. And we'll talk about that in that video. But I'm hoping that this will really fire the players up now, this defeat, and they'll do everything I'm sure they will to get us back to winning ways. Just one final point from me, and again, the usual possession stat. We had 60% possession overall in the game, which was a lot higher in the first half. And once again, it shows us that possession is only of any relevance if you do something with that possession.
Look, I mean, that brings us on perfectly to Lincoln. They sit out of possession, but they still manage to win games. Just backing up your point, possession doesn't mean anything unless you put the ball in the net.
Yeah, so stats might say, Birmingham City had 60% possession, but actually, ultimately, all that matters, it was Bolton 3, Birmingham 1.
It's a good indicator. Obviously, the good teams dominate possession. They have a lot of the ball. That is a correlation between successful teams and winning games generally, but it's not the end all or be all.
No, it's not. And I think a lot of Blues fans will be disappointed with this result. Of course we are. We're not using it. Took me back to last season, and this time last season, Birmingham City supporters, we were playing the likes of round about the time we were playing lots of Watford and Middlesbrough and losing 1-0 at home to Millwall. Eventually, that was a tiny bit later, but you are right. It was in that period losing, and it took me back to that a little bit, because that feeling of loss. And but it is one game, and that's what we do in the next game that's important. And if we bounce back against Lincoln, nobody's really going to care about this game.
Exactly that.
But ultimately, it's a loss. We move on, and we just need to get the job finished now.
Still 9 points clear with the game in hand.
I know.
It is not an emergency situation. We will be absolutely fine. You lose a game of football from time to time against a better team. We move on. We move on to Lincoln this weekend. So as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe you're a Bolton fan. I'm sure you'll agree you did fully deserve those 3 points, but please let us know your thoughts on the game as well. If you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and you can also listen and watch us on Spotify as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we post a video. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.